Everyone thinks this story is about trade threats. It isn't. The real shift happens somewhere much quieter and much more dangerous. If you're arguing about who won, you already missed the point, because what's actually changing here isn't policy, it's power. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. On the surface, this looks familiar. The United States hints that foundational trade agreements are flexible, not canceled, just negotiable. That kind of signal has been used for decades. Big economies assume size creates leverage. Access creates obedience. But here's what almost no one notices. Interdependence doesn't behave like hierarchy. It behaves like physics. Push too hard in one place, and the pressure travels back through the entire system. This is where the story stops being political and starts becoming structural. Watch what happens next. Canada didn't panic. It didn't escalate. It didn't publicly submit. Instead, it did something far more consequential. It adapted, quietly, systematically, without making noise. Policymakers and firms asked a question most countries wait too long to ask. What if stability itself is the rarest asset in the global economy? That single question changes everything. Once stability is in doubt, behavior shifts immediately. Export strategies stop assuming permanence. Supply chains stop pointing in only one direction. Capital stops treating proximity as safety. Markets don't wait for clarity. They move on signals. And the signal here was unmistakable. Rules once thought permanent are now conditional. To investors, that doesn't look like strength. It looks like volatility. And volatility is expensive, so Canada accelerated diversification that had already begun. New trade routes, new partners, infrastructure that didn't assume one permanent anchor, not as protest, as insurance. This wasn't retreat, it was repositioning. And this is where the power dynamic quietly flips. As Canada reduced dependence, American dependence became visible. Manufacturing relies on predictability, not rhetoric. When uncertainty entered the system, hiring slowed, investment paused, expansion froze. Not because anyone lost a trade war, but because no one knew which rules would survive the next election cycle. Here's the paradox no one likes to admit. When a dominant power weaponizes interdependence, it teaches others how to live without it. And that lesson, once learned, cannot be reversed. As Canadian firms shortened supply chains and strengthened domestic capacity, leverage didn't disappear. It migrated, and global capital noticed immediately. Investors stopped asking how to access North America through the United States. They started asking how to operate near it without being exposed to policy swings. That's a subtle change, but it's a massive one, because capital doesn't chase flags. It chases environments where long-term planning still works. Canada began offering something increasingly rare: continuity. Inside the United States, the feedback loop tightened. Manufacturers delayed commitments. Retailers challenged tariffs in court. Supply chains modeled fragmentation instead of integration. None of this trends on social media, but all of it compounds. This is how power erodes in interconnected systems. Not through collapse, through alternatives. By this point, the story was no longer about trade. It was about reliability. Canada didn't win by resisting, it won by reorganizing. The United States didn't lose overnight, but it revealed something markets are brutally sensitive to. Uncertainty at the center spreads faster than strength ever does. This doesn't mean American influence disappears, but it does end an old assumption. That size alone guarantees obedience. That pressure only flows one way. That partners won't adapt. In a world of mobile capital and modular supply chains, power isn't just dominance anymore. It's whether others are willing to build their future around you. And here's the final truth. The countries that shape the next decade won't be the loudest or the most aggressive. They'll be the ones others can plan around. Because when stability becomes rare, it becomes power.